Hey gang, um, I'd like to just sit and talk a little bit on a subject. Uh, for I want to touch in on a specific group of individuals with specific I want to say biblical values or um, and biblical values or beliefs um, when it comes to the word and what that represents in conjunctions with the current events of this world and the evil in this world and preparation. Uh, I want to touch bases with with those groups. Um, and and just for the record, I'm not making my videos for just one group. As a matter of fact, Um, I'm speaking pretty much the same way that I have been speaking before I started making videos about the word in the same manner for the same demographic, which is everyone. Anytime that I share anything that I have learned uh, from the Messiah, it's for everyone. It's not just for one specific group. It's never been that way. So, so I wanted to touch in because I guess maybe I need to chew it up a little bit because again I know that we get caught up on indoctrinations and uh, and it's difficult for us to break through certain barriers and patterns of thought that we have been practicing and I know how heavy indoctrination can be, you know, and how difficult it could be to break loose from certain patterns of thinking. And you know, and as a man is in his heart, you know, that's how the man is, right? That's what manifests outwardly on a physical plane. It's what's in your heart that manifests. So the way you think matters, right? So so I remember having conversations with certain individuals. Uh, uh, not not in a time not long ago. I would I would sit down and have conversations with a certain individual or a couple of individuals, and I would share with them as part of being as part of a group, right? A group of individuals who claim to love God, you know, and that everything that they're doing is for God, and you know, and with Him and with the biblical principles and you know, and they practice the for lack of a better word, they practice the old ways, right? They practice and they say it's only as a remembrance, you know. They try to follow the laws, you know, basically just rituals of the Old Testament. And I was part of one of these groups, you know, and I would have conversations, and I immediately, just like how I was over 20 something years ago when I accepted Christ, the Messiah, and I started noticing contradictions, heavy contradictions in fundamentals um, in the big city church. It's no different than being in a group, uh, self-sustaining, you know, quote unquote, prepper minded, biblically based group out in the sticks. It's uh, it's all very relative, and the reason why it's relative is because they both fall uh, they both fall victim to some kind of indoctrination of religiosity. There's a religious factor in both, and that's the problem. That's the problem, that there is very little actual revelation of the Spirit of the Father, and a lot of yeah, that this is good because yeah, this is, we all agree, yeah, we all agree, uh, interpretation of the of man logic, right? And if you've heard anything I've said, I definitely speak against that. I speak against you coming up with your own interpretation. This is very dangerous. Okay, and especially if you're in a group, if you have been submitted, or if you have submitted yourself to one of these types of groups that claim to put that claim the Father's name. Okay, first you gotta ask a few questions to yourself. You don't have to tell anybody to tell you anything. They will tell you themselves as you just hang around. Their actions will speak. And and one thing is one thing that you need to ask yourself in observing uh, this new group of individuals that you have decided to become a part of for preparation reasons, because the world's weird, all of those factors, is uh, if they're claiming the Father's name, is, do these people really put God first? That should be that should be um, one of the first questions that you want to ask is, do these people truly put God first? And in essence, in the very very beginning of introduction of getting to know uh, these individuals, it will seem as if they are, and you just might be in a small group where very well, and you guys are truly like family, and you definitely know the difference between putting the world first versus putting God first. But if you are in one of these groups and you're just getting to know, because you don't know somebody until you know somebody, right? And that's one of the first questions. Do these people put God first above all things? That means the Father's righteousness, no matter what. They put the Father's righteousness. They're not falling in religiosity. They're not falling in rituals. They're not manipulating the word to their own advantage. Oh, it's wrong if you do it, but when certain somebody else does it, it's okay. We're gonna let this guy that's higher in the hierarchy get away with certain things because he's more valuable to me than this other guy. These are the questions. Okay, these are questions that you need to things to observe. Are they putting righteousness, truly putting righteousness before man, before the kingdoms of man, or are they picking and choosing what it is that's more beneficial for them on this terrestrial plane, because they're not really serving God, they're serving themselves, right? So that's those are things you want to look for when you're when you are when you are considering being part of these types of groups. Now, if you're part of a humble no denomination, no, like, these folks might read the word here and there, but they're genuinely good folks, because I have met plenty of decent folks, for the for the lack of a better term. I know that no one is good but God, by the Father. But there's generally good folks out there that are open hearted, and the Father has definitely been working in their hearts, without them even realizing it. And you just might find a certain group of folks that do stand on good moral values and stand on righteousness just out of the goodness of their heart because they're just built that way, then that's awesome, and then you guys can build from there. But the moment that you realize that you're in a group where the certain quote unquote leadership, okay, because there's always going to be a hierarchy, right? There's always going to be, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if the so-called leader doesn't want to be called a leader. There's definitely always a hierarchy, and that's evident in the way that the group moves. Everything revolves around a small group of individuals, okay? And so you want to ask yourself, are these individuals putting God first above everything else? Is righteousness, is the Father truly number one in this group? Um, where's the integrity? Are there a group of integrity, an integral group of the Father? Because those two go hand in hand. You can't just claim that you're the Father's people and not have integrity. And you'll see that in the way that they'll treat their so-called brethren, and what they prioritize. If they prioritize worldly worldly things before prioritizing the need of a brother, if they're prioritizing a oh, man, branding is a big telltale sign. When there's too many labels, too many brands, there's too many labels of this world, and you have a question in one of your group meetings over and over and over again of like, well, what are we really? You know, when that is that's a telltale sign that you're probably not in a group that is actually putting God first. Because if if there is a group that is putting God first, they're gonna know exactly who they are and who they are with God, with Yah, who they are in Christ. They're gonna know, and you're not gonna call yourself a MAG, a mutual assistance group. You're not gonna put any labels in front of your Creator, because everything you work for is for the kingdom of the Most High. So, so you start noticing, uh, as you enter one of these groups, you start noticing just things just fall apart. Things that were presented as part of their normality and part of their foundations just start falling apart. And you understand why. Right at first, you don't really comprehend why. Little by little, you come to the comp. If you start asking these questions, you come to the understanding that to the conclusion that it's because God's really not number one. There's something else number one here. There's something else taking the place of Yah, of the Creator. Okay, this is very dangerous. Okay, if the I don't have all the fancy words today, but if your motive, uh, end game is I need a group for survival for the end of the world, so to speak. I need to be surrounded by good people, as good as people could be, and people that truly care about you. They don't just throw that L word around. They truly understand what the love of God is. If that is your goal, if that is your agenda, right? If that's what you're looking for, right? These are things that you want to look for, because it could be very dangerous once the end of the world actually happens. It could be very dangerous to be in a group that is self-centered, that surrounds their their motives and they decide what's important to them within that inner circle, and they manipulate the word to their advantage, And if somebody does something wrong that doesn't have as much value in the group, you see, this is not looking through the eyes of the Spirit of God. This is looking through the eyes of man. This is functions of the logics of man, of the hearts of man, and you cannot trust your own heart, let alone another sinner's heart, right? So if Christ, the Messiah, is not the center of that group, this could be very dangerous, because chances are these individuals know word very good, and they will manipulate that word. And at the moment that the Spirit of the Father touches your heart and tells you to do something that goes against their primary pri- uh, primary objectives, which are self-centered and not centered around God. And it's the end of the world, mind you. Like, you're stuck in this group. You have nowhere to go. You set your tent here. And now you live with these folks. And now you have a righteous heart. And you call out the so-called leadership for bullcrap. They end up being legalistic and religious. That's exactly what happened to Christ, right? Christ Christ is an example for us in so many ways. And the relationship with the Pharisees and the laws of this world against Christ at that time was very telling. I mean, Jesus himself tells you, hey, if they persecuted me, they're going to persecute you. Yeah, and everything they did to me, they're going to do to you. This is religious, man-made religion. Religion is man-made. It's not a relationship with your creator. Okay. So if you're in that group and it's the end of the world, and you have to count, and yes, you and your family, and maybe your kids as well, they're with you. You have nowhere else to go. Well, you might be in some hot water, because the moment you're going to have a fork on the road, the moment that the Spirit of the Father knocks on your heart and tells you to call a spade, and you just might get stoned to death on a technicality, a legalistic technicality based upon the word of Yah. So question question what the primary objectives truly are in whatever group you decide to. If you have decided to join a group that is claiming the name of the Creator as their uh, foundation, because if the Creator of the universe, if the Messiah, Yeshua Hamashiach, truly is the center, he will come first in everything that they do. So that's just a little thought for you today. Um, have no fear as you execute in your new findings, in the new revelations that the Spirit of the Father gives you. Take everything that anyone says to the Father directly in your private place, in your quiet place. Humble yourself. Ask the Father if this crazy guy over here is saying something that's relevant to you, or maybe it's not, or does it hold any weight. Question everything, but take everything in prayer to the Most High. Okay, so it's just a little. I can say a whole lot more about this, but that's just the gist of it. Conversations that I had with individuals from groups that I have no longer, that I have decided to no longer be part of, for for such reasons. So I hope you're having a great day, and I'm not looking to be popular. I'm not looking for a popularity contest. I'm not trying to win any prizes. I know that eventually the Father will grab these words in these videos, and eventually my words are gonna mean more than they mean now. In the hearts of men, because I know that what I'm saying is not out of my own selfishness, or I'm not saying anything that doesn't benefit you in getting closer to the Most High. And I'm only doing in my heart what I feel to do from the Creator. Everything that I've done, I've tried. I'm not a perfect individual, but everything that I have said, just me coming on a public platform and speaking these words, because I know that the enemy does not want me to say these words. So I'm putting myself in the forefront for the sake of truth, because I know who I serve. Okay, so I'm not concerned with what anyone thinks of me. I'm just gonna come here, and whoever the word is will hit the heart, the intended hearts that it needs to hit. And to those others that get offended by what I'm saying, if the shoe fits, what can I do? Don't don't kill the messenger, homie. All right. Bless you guys. Have a great one. Shalom.